Part 10. The tightening noose. Louis's hands gripped the steering wheel with an intensity Harry could feel in the silence between them. Trees blurred past the windows as they sped down the narrow road, the growing darkness mirroring the weight hanging over them. Louis's mind raced as fast as the car, calculating their next move, but it was clear they were being chased into a corner. The distant sound of tires on gravel faded in and out behind them. The sense of being hunted had never felt more real. "Where are we going?" Harry's voice broke through the tension, trying to remain steady, though his heart hammered in his chest. Louis didn't answer immediately. He took a sharp breath, his eyes flicking toward the rearview mirror. "We need to get out of town. Just for a while, until I figure out how to deal with this." "Out of town?" Harry asked, his confusion rising. "Who are these people? And what the hell is going on? You said something about the music industry, but this feels way more dangerous." Louis glanced at him, and for a split second, Harry saw the strain behind his usual calm exterior. He had been running from more than just fame, it was something much darker, a past Harry never would have guessed. "They're not just people from the industry," Louis admitted, his voice tight. "They control things, more than you know. It's not just about music. I made a deal to get out of it, to disappear, but it looks like the deal's off the table now." Harry's stomach dropped. This wasn't the glamorous world he had imagined Louis leaving behind. This was something far more sinister. "But why didn't you tell me? I'm not some fragile flower, Louis, I could have handled it." Louis clenched his jaw, staring straight ahead as the car jostled along the winding road. "I didn't want you anywhere near this. You think I'd drag you into my mistakes? You didn't ask for this." Harry's heart twisted at the guilt layered in Louis's voice. He reached across the space between them, his fingers brushing Louis's arm. "We're in this together now. Whatever it is, we'll handle it." Before Louis could respond, the rearview mirror flashed with the unmistakable glare of headlights. They were no longer alone. "They're following us," Louis said, his voice stealing. Harry turned his head, a surge of fear rising as he saw the car far behind them, moving closer. "What do we do?" Harry's voice wavered. "We lose them." Without another word, Louis slammed his foot on the gas pedal, sending the car speeding through the dark, twisting roads. The headlights behind them grew brighter, narrowing the gap between the two cars. Louis's grip tightened on the wheel as he swerved onto a narrow dirt path, kicking up a cloud of dust behind them. The car bumped and rattled on the uneven terrain, but Louis kept his focus, glancing into the mirror as the pursuing vehicle struggled to keep pace on the rugged road. For a brief moment, it seemed like they were gaining ground. But the relief was short-lived. In the distance ahead, more headlights appeared, this time cutting across their path. Two more cars emerged from the shadows, heading straight toward them. "They're trying to box us in," Louis muttered under his breath, his pulse quickening. Harry's eyes widened in panic. "We can't just drive through them. What do we do?" Louis's mind raced. They had one option left. "We stop." "Stop." Harry's voice shot up. "Are you insane? They'll catch us if we stop." "They're going to catch us either way," Louis said grimly, his eyes hardening with resolve. "But if we keep running, they'll think we're weak. We need to stand our ground." Harry could hardly believe what he was hearing, but the determined look on Louis's face left no room for argument. He swallowed his fear and nodded. "Okay, I trust you." Louis's heart clenched at Harry's words. He didn't deserve that trust, not after everything he'd kept hidden, but he had no choice now. They were in this together. The car screeched to a halt in the middle of the dirt road, dust swirling around them in the beams of the approaching headlights. Louis stepped out, his body taut with tension, as the figures from the two cars stepped into view. There were 5 of them now, 3 from the car behind and 2 from the one ahead. All of them wore the same cold, unreadable expressions. Harry watched from inside the car, his heart pounding in his chest. These men were dangerous. He could feel it in the way they moved, like predators circling prey. Louis had told him some of the truth, but not all of it, and now, standing in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by strangers, Harry was beginning to realize just how deep Louis's past really went. One of the men, a tall figure with sharp, calculating eyes, stepped forward, his gaze locked on Louis. "You thought you could hide forever, huh? That was a nice little disappearing act you pulled." I'm not part of your world anymore, Louis said, his voice defiant but measured. I walked away. You don't get to pull me back. The man smirked, shaking his head. That's not how it works, Louis. You don't just walk away from people like us. Harry's pulse quickened as he listened, catching glimpses of a life Louis had hidden so carefully. A life that was now rearing its head with full force. You're going to come with us, the man said, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. Or things are going to get a lot worse for you. And your little friend there. Louis's blood boiled at the threat to Harry. His jaw clenched as he stepped closer to the man, his voice low and lethal. If you lay a finger on him, I'll make sure you regret it. The man's smile faded, replaced by a cold, calculating stare. He nodded toward his men, who began to circle closer, their intentions clear. But before any of them could make a move, a piercing sound filled the air, police sirens. The men froze, their heads snapping toward the road behind them as blue and red lights flashed in the distance. Louis's heart raced with a mix of relief and dread. Help was coming, but he wasn't sure if it was enough, or if they were running out of time. We'll be back for you, the leader growled, his voice dripping with menace. You can count on it. With that, the men retreated to their cars, the sound of tires screeching against the dirt as they disappeared into the night, leaving Louis and Harry alone, standing in the eerie silence of the forest. Harry finally stepped out of the car, his legs shaking as he made his way to Louis's side. What just happened? Louis's eyes stayed on the retreating taillights. I think we just got lucky. But as the distant sirens faded, a sinking feeling settled in Louis's chest. This was far from over. They had bought themselves some time, but the threat wasn't gone. And now, Harry was more involved than ever. Louis turned to Harry, his expression grave. We need to leave town. Now. Harry nodded, though his heart was heavy with questions he wasn't sure he wanted answers to. As they climbed back into the car, a new thought weighed on him: the men would return. They always did, and when they came back, Louis and Harry would have to be ready.